Ogilvie Syndrome, also known as acute colonic pseudoobstruction, is a condition characterized by significant dilatation of the colon without any mechanical obstruction. The dilation primarily affects the cecum and ascending colon, with a transition point near the splenic flexure. This condition occurs suddenly and temporarily, impacting only the colon. It is essential to differentiate Ogilvie syndrome from mechanical bowel obstruction, as the management strategies for these conditions differ significantly. Signs and symptoms. Patients with Ogilvie syndrome typically present with gradually worsening abdominal distension and varying degrees of abdominal discomfort. Nausea and vomiting are common symptoms. While constipation is often associated with bowel obstruction, many patients with Ogilvie syndrome may continue to have some bowel function, and diarrhea can occur. On physical examination, abdominal distension is consistently observed. The abdomen is tympanic, and auscultation may reveal high-pitched bowel sounds. Mild abdominal tenderness is expected. Fever and severe abdominal tenderness may indicate ischemia or perforation. Symptoms usually develop over 3 to 5 days, but can manifest more rapidly, sometimes within 48 hours. A characteristic finding is massive dilatation of the cecum, with a diameter greater than 10 centimeters on an abdominal X-ray. Etiology and risk factors. The exact cause of Ogilvie syndrome remains unclear. However, several clinical conditions increase the risk of developing this condition. Advanced age and comorbidities associated with electrolyte imbalances or polypharmacy are strongly linked to Ogilvie syndrome. Poor functional status or immobility are additional risk factors. Older adults who have been hospitalized are at higher risk. Non-operative trauma, severe infections, and admissions for cardiovascular disease have been reported as predisposing factors in approximately 10% of cases in retrospective studies. Major orthopedic and obstetric procedures, including cesarean operations, are associated with this condition. Elderly adults from long-term care facilities, individuals with progressive neurological diseases, or those who have undergone recent abdominal surgery are also at increased risk. Medications such as anticholinergics, opioid analgesics, antipsychotics, amphetamines, corticosteroids, immunosuppressants, and those used for spinal anesthesia may contribute. Electrolyte imbalances and neurological diseases are also risk factors. Pathophysiology. The specific underlying mechanism of Ogilvie syndrome has not been identified. Most researchers agree that impairment of the colonic motor system exists, with dysfunction or imbalance of the autonomic nervous system being the most likely cause. There is suspected reduced activity of stimulatory neurotransmitters, primarily acetylcholine, relative to inhibitory neurotransmitters like nitrous oxide and vasoactive intestinal peptide. Independent dysfunction of the enteric nervous system, intrinsic enteric reflex arcs, and pacemaker activity may also contribute. Pathologic distension of the colon usually ends at or just proximal to the splenic flexure, where autonomic parasympathetic efferent innervation transitions. As the cecum and ascending colon dilate, wall tension in the colonic mucosa increases proportionately, potentially leading to ischemia, fluid and bacterial translocation, and perforation. The risk of complications increases with increasing cecal diameter and duration of illness. Very few perforations occur with a cecal diameter less than 12 centimeters. A direct correlation exists between diameters greater than 12 centimeters and the risk of complications. Dilation lasting more than 5 or 6 days confers the highest risk of perforation or ischemia. Evaluation. Ogilvie syndrome is generally a diagnosis of exclusion. A thorough assessment, including contrast imaging, is necessary. Evaluation should assess for reversible causes and complications such as ischemia or perforation. Laboratory tests, although nonspecific, aid in the evaluation. Leukocytosis, elevated C-reactive protein, or lactate may suggest bowel ischemia. Liver function tests, lipase, and human chorionic gonadotropin should be obtained to rule out other causes. Electrolyte abnormalities are common. Thyroid function should be evaluated. Patients with diarrhea should be tested for Clostridium difficile toxin. Blood cultures should be considered in septic patients. Appropriate imaging is essential. Plain radiography may show colonic dilatation, normal haustral markings, and a lack of mechanical obstruction. However, its utility is limited. The most important use of plain radiography is to measure initial dilatation and for serial monitoring. Computed tomography scan with oral and intravenous contrast is the preferred diagnostic modality as it rules out mechanical obstruction and evaluates for other causes of dilatation and signs of ischemia. Ogilvie syndrome on computed tomography typically shows isolated dilatation of the cecum and ascending colon with a transition at the splenic flexure. If computed tomography is unavailable and peritonitis is absent, a contrast enema study can be performed. Diagnostic colonoscopy should be avoided due to the increased risk of perforation from gas insufflation. Treatment and management. The primary treatment goal is urgent bowel decompression. Treatment options include conservative therapy, pharmacologic interventions, and endoscopic therapies. Surgical interventions are reserved for those failing other treatments or with ischemia or perforation. For uncomplicated Ogilvie syndrome, initial management includes nothing by mouth, nasogastric tube placement for decompression, fluid resuscitation, and correction of electrolyte abnormalities. Medications impacting colonic motility should be discontinued. Ambulation and prone or knee-to-chest positioning are encouraged. Frequent abdominal examinations and daily abdominal plane films to monitor cecal dilatation are necessary. If no signs of complications develop and the cecal diameter remains less than 12 centimeters, this conservative approach can continue for 72 hours with a success rate of up to 90%. Pharmacologic therapy with neostigmine is indicated for patients who do not improve within 72 hours, have Ogilvie syndrome duration greater than 4 days, or a cecal diameter greater than 12 centimeters. Neostigmine is typically administered as a 2 mg slow intravenous push over 2 to 5 minutes with continuous cardiac monitoring. Atropine should be readily available for bradycardia. A clinical response is usually seen within 2 to 30 minutes. The average efficacy after one dose is approximately 90%, with most non-responders resolving after a second 2 mg dose given 90 minutes to 3 hours later. A 24-hour neostigmine drip has also been evaluated. After initial response, about 30% are at risk of recurrence. Endoscopic decompression via colonoscopy without gas insufflation is considered for those with contraindications to or failure of pharmacologic therapy. A colonic decompression tube is often placed. There is an approximately 3% risk of iatrogenic perforation. Traditional operative management, such as cecostomy decompression or open resection with Hartmann procedure, is necessary for unsuccessful interventions or the development of ischemia or perforation. Mortality rates increase substantially when operative management is needed. Differential diagnosis. The differential diagnosis of Ogilvie syndrome includes volvulus of the cecum or sigmoid, mesenteric ischemia, toxic megacolon, incarcerated hernia, intussusception, stricture, malignancy, adynamic ileus, and constipation or stool impaction. Prognosis. The prognosis of Ogilvie syndrome is influenced by the presence of multiple comorbidities. The expected mortality after diagnosis of uncomplicated Ogilvie syndrome is approximately 15%. Complicated Ogilvie syndrome, occurring in 3 to 15% of patients, has a worse prognosis with average mortality rates between 30 and 40%. Factors associated with complications include cecal diameter and duration of illness. No patients with a cecal diameter less than 12 centimeters developed complicated disease in one study, but 23% of patients with a diameter of 14 centimeters did. Dilation duration exceeding 5 days is concerning, with a reported 5-fold increase in mortality after 7 days of unresolved disease. Postoperative mortality rates are reported at 26% even without bowel ischemia. Timely recognition, diagnosis, and colonic decompression are vital for patient prognosis and survival. Optimal management of Ogilvie syndrome necessitates an interprofessional team including surgeons, radiologists, internists, nurse practitioners, and gastroenterologists. The primary treatment goal remains urgent bowel decompression, utilizing conservative, pharmacologic, endoscopic, or surgical interventions as indicated.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscription button. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below in the comments section.